I'll give everyone a couple more minutes to log on and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Penn State Alumni Association Paint Night. Go ahead, drop in the chat where you're joining us from this evening. We'd love to hear from you. If at any point you guys have questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat, or you're welcome to come off of mute to ask a question. We only ask that you try to remain on mute throughout the event unless you have a question, just to make it a little bit easier for everyone to hear throughout the program. We'll be getting started here. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Jackie, and she'll take it from here. Thanks, Jackie.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here for Paint Night. I think I recognize some names. So it's good to see some veteran painters here. I think I was told this is the fifth one I've been doing. Fifth one I've done, number 5. Got people coming from all over Florida, Nebraska, New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey. All right. So yes, if you do have a question at any point during the painting, let me know in the chat. I'm pretty good at keeping an eye on there, but hopefully if I miss it, somebody will unmute and let me know that there's a question. I'm going to spotlight for everyone the painting, and that's where I will be doing my own painting. Just in case you are getting set up with your materials as well, I've got my paper towels. I've got this to-go container of water, my fancy box that I put my paint in. My colors are white, red, yellow, blue, and black. So that's white and black and the 3 primary colors. And as usual, I've got a big brush and a little brush, or really any brush that we feel good about making finer lines with. Okay. What else can I talk about if people are still getting set up? Oh yeah, please do turn on your videos. For one, I love seeing everybody's work as we go, but also it's helpful for me to see like where we're at and if I need to slow down or anything at all. All right, I think we're ready to get rocking and rolling here. So I'm going to put up my white canvas here, and we can get started. All right, so first things first, I'm just going to pop the painting back in front of us for a moment. I'm going to kind of plan out my composition here. I want to keep in mind where I want my big sunflower blossom to be in the upper right corner, and where I want my pumpkin to be in the lower left-hand corner. And I'm just kind of planning things out. This is where we can kind of figure out where our composition is here. So don't fret about perfection. We're not dealing with perfection really at all today, but now is certainly not the time. So what I've done is I've got my bigger brush and I'm grabbing just yellow paint, and yellow is going to be kind of like my sketch color, the color that I'm using to lay out everything. So I'm just going to imagine that big sunflower blossom, and I'm just going to make just a really sketchy circle, just so I know that that's where that sunflower is going to be. So that's not a lot of paint. Again, the purpose here is just to kind of sketch things out. And same thing for my pumpkin. My pumpkin lives over here somewhere, and I'm just going to do a basic round shape. Again, we're not painting anything that really resembles anything yet, just planning things out. And I'm basically just wiping my brush on the canvas to get off any of that paint. All right, so that is kind of the layout, and that helps me conserve some of our background color, and we're not mixing blue and yellow, which is what can happen. So that's why we did that. All right, that's laid out. So now I know that everything in the middle here, so this negative space, anything that's not the circles that we just put in, I'm gonna fill that in with white. Before I do that, I'm going to wipe off any excess globs of paint. I can just paint on the canvas, and then I'm going to give that brush a nice rinse in my cup of water here. And I can dab that off on some paper towel. Basically, I just want a nice clean brush to go into our white paint. So I'll just go into my white paint here. I'll grab a whole bunch, and I'm just going to fill in all of this negative space that is anything that is not going to be sunflower or pumpkin gets all of this white paint treatment. And the reason why we're doing this is we want to get nice and blendy with our background color, which is a light blue. I mean, really, it could be any color that you like. You can do a light pink background. Really up to you. So don't be shy with that white paint, because we do want to get blendy. We don't want that white paint to dry. So if you don't have a nice big flat brush, I think this is like an inch. Is this an inch? I have no idea. But treat yourself to a nice flat angled brush that can cover a lot of canvas. All right, so I've treated that portion of the canvas. I'll maybe take a little pause here just in case I'm going too fast. Take a look here at our artists for this evening.
Jackie, can you just back up a little so I can see, like, is the sun going to the actual edge of your painting?
So this upper in the upper right here,
Yes, you're
that
actually.
is going to be my sunflower, and yes, that goes all the way to the edge.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah. But your painting might be different. It doesn't have to do that, but I I kind of like the idea of the pumpkins sort of hanging off this corner and the
Okay.
sunflower will hang off that corner. All right, so I've got that portion nice and wet with white paint. And I don't really need to clean my brush unless you've got like a big old glop of white paint on there. I want to keep that white paint in the bristles. That's going to help me get my blend on. So I'm just going to take my brush and tap a corner into some blue. And then we're going to get blendy. And I like doing a little crisscrossy move. We can also call this the swish and flick, but whatever works for you. A little dab will do you, a little goes a long way. If in this process, you think, oh boy, I went in way too hot with that blue and now it's too dark. Go ahead and wipe off your brush on the paper towel, grab some more white, and you can kind of start again or blend in. But maybe you want, again, this can be any color you want, but maybe you want your blue to be a bit stronger, or maybe you want your blue to be a little bit lighter. Totally up to you. And don't worry about, and I can bring this a little bit closer. Don't worry about kind of these imperfect, smudgy edges here. Again, this is kind of planning out the composition. We can always go back and fix things. Things do not have to be perfect at this point. And this can be a smooth blending. You can get really smooth and soft here, or maybe you want more texture. Again, totally up to you. I don't know about you, but I definitely know it's fall because it's pitch black right now. Usually when I'm doing these paintings with you all, I can see out my window and I cannot. All right, but we'll get a little color with this painting here. All right. I'm just going to keep kind of playing around here just in case anybody needs to catch up. All right. I'm just going to take a little peek at our lovely artist here. It looks like we're hard at work. I see lots of brushes moving. I love it. I love the sea turtle painting, Marianne, gorgeous. All right. If you are done with your background here, you can go ahead and wipe off any excess paint from your brush. Again, it's always good practice to wipe off your brush of paint before you give it a rinse. There's no need to dirty up your water with glops of paint when you can just wipe them off and then give that brush a good clean rinse. And I'm just going to check in with our videos over here, see how we're doing. If you could just give me a thumbs up if you're ready to move on. Otherwise, we can sit tight for a moment. I think we're all thumbs down, thumbs down. So we will sit here for a couple of seconds or minutes
set them
Oh,
down.
I love it. Anne is ready to rock and roll. Yep. Chris's iPhone is giving me the thumbs up. So is Sue. Kayla. I always feel like romper room. I see Patty and I see Tiffany and Patricia. Again, if you're just finishing up your background, all we did is wipe off our brush of any excess paint. We've given that brush a good clean rinse. And for our next trick, we are going to fill in these two shapes with yellow. And I say yellow because I don't have orange. So if you have orange, then you can go ahead and fill in your pumpkin with orange paint. I'm going to show you what I do, which to me, I think is kind of just a fun way to paint a pumpkin. But I'm actually going to start with the sunflower, and I'm just going to try to keep talking in case anybody's catching up. So for the sunflower, we are still kind of in like planning mode. In other words, it doesn't have to be perfect petals at this point, but I am going to use my big flat brush again. And I'm going to grab quite a bit of yellow paint, and I'm going to kind of play with petals. And by play with, I mean, I'm not too concerned about them being perfect, but I'm just going to start pulling in some petal shapes, and then I can just fill in the rest just flat yellow here. So I am going into, let me bring this closer. I am going into the blue with these petals. Oh my goodness, it's really hard to see what I'm doing here. I am going right into the blue with that yellow paint, and I'm not worried about any bleed through at this point because we're still going to be working this blossom up as we go. But I am going right into that blue. If your blue is like sopping wet, I would maybe wait a sec for it to get tacky, or if you have a hair dryer at the ready, those are good to have around. But I'm just kind of giving the, what's the word? The silhouette here of this flower. Okay. A flat angled brush comes in really handy because it makes it super easy to do these petal shapes. And I'm just going to fill all that in. And that is the first treatment of this sunflower. All right, I did that really quickly, so I'm just going to sit tight for a moment and let people catch up. If you have orange paint, then you can go ahead and fill in your pumpkin. But I'm going to wait a minute in case you're like me and you don't have orange paint, but you have yellow and red. I'll show you how I do the pumpkin that way in a moment. All right, I see paintbrushes are still moving and grooving. If you are ready to rock and roll onto the pumpkin, then give me a thumbs up. Don't want to leave anyone behind. All right. I see a bunch of thumbs up. I'll just talk for a bit in case anyone is catching up. So to do a pumpkin without orange paint, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a whole bunch of yellow and fill in my pumpkin, because I want to be able to do some blending with red. So our main color, and we even outlined this in yellow to start, right? So our main color is going to be yellow, and I do want to get blendy, so I'm not going to be shy with the amount of yellow that I put on. Also, just like the flower, I'm not going to worry if I have bleed through on my edges with the blue background. Totally not going to worry about it. Okay. In fact, I'd rather there be overlap than some white showing through. All right, so hopefully everyone is ready to roll there. I'm going to grab some more yellow paint myself and just fill in my little pumpkin here. And I might need to give myself some more yellow paint. And I think I will do that right now. In case anyone was wondering what paint I'm using this really cheap acrylic from Michaels. It's like the lowest level quality paint. It's very watery for that reason, and for that reason it is cheaper because it's so watery, but I find that it's pretty easy to work with. All right, so again, I'm just filling in my pumpkin with yellow paint. All right, so my pumpkin is full of yellow paint. It is nice and wet. I've got my brush here. It's still pretty loaded with yellow, and that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. And much like what we did with the blue blending into the white, we're going to grab some red to blend it into the yellow. Again, a little bit goes a long way. We can always add more. It's harder to take it away. I just dipped my brush, the corner of my brush, into some red. And then I can blend red into yellow and I get orange. And you have to be patient. It might feel a little bit like ketchup and mustard at first, but I promise you, as you blend, you will get a nice orangey pumpkin. And if you can see the brush strokes that I'm using, I'm kind of following the curve of that pumpkin. I don't know what you would call those things. Veins, spines. We all know what I'm talking about. The things, the lines of a pumpkin that you always draw. So I'm using that to guide my brush strokes. So it's giving it a nice rounded look here. Now, if you do have orange paint, you can kind of do the same idea. You can do a base in orange and then add red or yellow blendy streaks. I find that this is kind of just a fun way to mix a color directly on the canvas. I love mixing right on the canvas. It's just fun for me. I don't think there's any like real fancy technique here. It's just fun. Just kind of blend that all in there. Again, a little goes a long way. If you found that you went in too hot with the red, same thing as before. You can wipe off any excess glops You might need to even rinse your brush and then start with fresh yellow and try to blend everything in. Alrighty. So if it looks like you have a sun and a basketball, then you're doing it right. Everybody looks hard at work. I love it. Lots of brushes moving around. Looking good, Team Weiss, if I'm saying that right. Okay. Oh, double thumbs up. Good. I do have to click through everyone's video, so don't worry if I don't see you right away. I'll get to you, I hope, eventually. Looks like people are still working, but I can talk about what our next step will be, and that is that I want to take advantage of the orange that I've now got on my brush that I've blended, and I'm going to take that up into my sunflower to start, and I'll show you the original to kind of illustrate what I'm getting at. In the sunflower, in the finished product, it's not just pure yellow, it's got kind of streaks of orange in there. So I do want to take advantage of that orange paint in my brush, and I'm going to bring it to my sunflower. Yeah, so if you are joining in late, this is recorded. I hope someone with the Alumni Association will tell us how we can access that later on. That I'm not sure of, but I do know that it is being recorded, and you hopefully will find out how to locate that later. And that's a message coming in from the chat. All right, so I am going to start working up this orange into my sunflower at the top. And I mean, again, you can do this however you'd like. I'm going to try to focus the orange towards the center and then work my way out. But with a yellow and orange sunflower, I feel like you really can't go wrong. So just kind of have fun. Oh, my brush is pretty much dry now, so I'm gonna make some more. I'm actually just gonna grab some more yellow and play with that. Flowers are really fun and forgiving. You can really just play around with any color really. Put on your little petals. So yeah, I am gonna make a little bit more orange for myself, because that did dry on me. Ooh, that is very red. So I'm gonna wipe off some excess there, grab some more yellow. And then kind of get these little central petals going on here. And then the center of our sunflower will eventually be a dark, dark brown, almost black. So I can fill this in orange, it doesn't really matter, but I can certainly do that. And the fun thing about this painting is that we eventually do some outlining with black. So it doesn't really matter what our petals look like. So if I get it coming close, you can see that some of my petals are just sort of all sorts of wacky, right? But this is that kind of painting where it's fun, and we're just going to outline in black later. So we don't have to stress too much about what that flower looks like at the present time. And I'm just seeing in the chat, in case you missed it, that this recording will be archived on the PSAA website and on the Facebook page. So 2 different places for you to find this recording eventually. All righty. Once I'm done playing around with that sunflower, we will tend to that sunflower again to give it that center brown part where the seeds would be, I guess. But for now, let's switch gears and work up some green paint. You might have green paint at the ready. I have blue and yellow, so I need to mix that up. I'm going to still use my big flat brush. So I'm going to wipe off any excess paint and give that brush a good clean rinse. Again, we will return to that sunflower, but for now I'm going to work on some green. We've got some, of course, the stem and the leaves of the sunflower, and a little bit of green in the stem of our pumpkin and that little curly tendril.
Jackie, I have to make green like you. Are we going dark?
Totally up to you. I do like a darker one for this painting for whatever reason.
Okay, perfect.
But
Thank you.
whatever you like. So for me, it's just my straight blue and yellow
Okay, thanks.
together. Sure. This is kind of what I'm working with here on my brush. And for me, I'm going to start with the stem of my sunflower. I'm just going to start, you know, wherever I want it to be at the base of those petals. And I'm just going to pull straight down. And I need to get a little bit more paint. So if ever your paint goes on pretty streaky like that, that just means that you don't have enough paint on your brush or it's got a little dry. So I'm just going to make some more of that green for myself right here. In case you were wondering if I had any fancy palette, you've all seen the box, the lid that I put my paint in. And I also have a brown paper bag set up and as sort of like my tablecloth. And that's also where I do some of my mixing. So nothing really fancy here. All right, so there's my stem. And then I'm going to, for me, I've got 2 leaves. One is kind of resting on or resting in front of the pumpkin, and another one's kind of going off canvas towards the right, but you can have as many or as few as you like. I am going to start with the leaves themselves and then connect with the stem when I'm done with each leaf. Oh, that one, I made it really small. I'm gonna make that one bigger. Make you a bit bigger. This is another reason why I love a nice angled brush. You can kind of use it as a stamp to get these leafy shapes. And I'll put the other one up here. Something like that. Mm-hmm. And also with that green, I'm going to add the stem of my pumpkin. So the stem for my pumpkin kind of sticks out like a handle. It almost looks like the, you know, maybe the number 7. And then I connect it to the top there, almost like a little claw that reaches down into the ridges of that pumpkin.
Is that brown you're using or is that green?
I'm starting with green and then I'm going to add black later. So in the original, it does look almost brown. It's pretty dark.
Okay.
But I start with green and then I add black later.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, good question.
Does that look good?
All right. We've got our stem and leaves for our sunflower. We've got the stem on our pumpkin. I have been using my larger brush, but for that curly Q tendril, I want to move to a small brush because there's no way that I'll be able to get that curly Q.
Oh,
Some-
yeah, that's not gonna happen.
All righty. So to recap our green, we got our stem on our flower, leaves on the flower, stem on the pumpkin, curly tendril on the pumpkin. And now let's can do this a couple of different ways. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do the center dark brown of the flower where those seeds are. And you can do brown a bunch of different ways. You might even have brown paint at the ready. For me, I'm going to use red and black. Okay, so I'm going to start with red paint. Let me show you. So I'm going to start with red paint, move it over here to this dried area, and then a little dab of black. And that will actually get me this dark color that looks like a burnt brown. And I'm going to just put a circle in the center of my sunflower. Again, that is just red and black. Oops. Got a little stray brown there, that's okay. And in case you were wondering, I am using my larger brush here, but you can use whatever brush you like.
Sorry,
Was there a
I got behind on the red and black.
Oh, sure.
What did you say about like how much to blend the red with the black?
I started with red, so that meaning that I have more red than black, and just adding a little smidgy smooches of black. That's a technical term. Just a little touch, a little dab of black until you get something that you like. And sorry about the camera angle. Yeah, I just hopefully moved the canvas into frame.
And then you just kind of like make a circle and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's all I did. I have this little rogue line over here that I'm not going to worry about. I'll probably cover that up with well, actually I can just make my circle bigger. There we go. Something like that. And then what works nicely with this brown is that all I'm going to do is add white to that brown and mix up the color for our sign. So that's all that color is basically that brown that I used for the center of the flower with white. And obviously you can make your sign in any color you like, but that's what I did. In painting, I'm all about using the paint that I have on my brush as much as possible. So if I have brown on my brush, I'll just add white to it to get that wood color. And I can show you that in my fancy palette here. So I just added white to my brown to get my color for that sign. I can show you the original painting once again, kind of show you where the sign is. You can put the sign wherever you like. My sign has one little stick in it. Maybe yours has two. Totally up to you. I've written, or I will write thankful on mine. Maybe you want to put grateful, blessed, your family name, happy Thanksgiving, whatever you like. Before we even paint the sign, I do warn everyone about painting words. I would give it a test run. I would plan ahead and take your time. It's amazing how many spelling mistakes happen when we're painting because we're more concerned about making the letter look pretty than spelling the word right. So that's my warning about painting words. All right, so I've got my basically light brown mixed up. And let's see where I want to put this thing. That looks, well, yeah, that'll work. Okay. I'm going to put you over here somewhere. My sign has a little tilt to it. And what I like to do anytime I'm painting wood without bark, that is, I like keeping it pretty streaky. I like doing that with bark too. But I like keeping the colors pretty streaky. I don't blend them together perfectly. And then you can even go over that and streak it with white or black. And that's kind of a fun way to make things look a bit more textured. So I just kind of went over that really quickly. But to recap, this the plank of our sign here is white and that brown color that I used for the center of my flower. And as you mix it up, you might want to keep it streaky. Doesn't have to be smooth. And then you can even, and I can show you how I do this. I just grab some more white on my brush and you can make that color look even more textured, like it's wood grainy. I don't even know if that's reading in the video all that well. All right, once I've put down that plank, I can just pull down the stick that the sign is attached to. I don't know if you can hear that baby crying, but that is that is my 10-week-old son, Jack. And he's with his Aunt Lori right now, and I think he just wants to paint, and he's getting a little whiny about it.
Congratulations about your 10 weeks.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll have to show. Oh, why don't we show him off right now? There's Aunt Lori. Jack is wearing his Halloween onesie because, you know, why not?
Where do you
Here,
want?
here, right. But can you
Oh.
put him in front of here? There he is. Say hi, Jack. Hi, Jackers. You just wanted to say hi.
That's it. Now he's
That's
quiet.
all. Now you're quiet. You're adoring fans. All right. Awesome. So we've basically laid everything out, right? All the color is laid out. Now we get to have fun by adding some outlines. And of course, that sign there will need to dry before we try to paint a word on it. But I am going to move to a smaller brush for my outlining. And really, folks, now that the color blocks basically are set down there, we get to have fun with outlining however we like. Maybe we want smooth, thick outlines in black. Maybe we want it a bit more sketchy. Maybe we don't want outlines. As you can see in the original painting here, I like sketchy outlines. They're not perfectly smooth. That's kind of the look that I like. But again, totally up to you. I'm going to wash my big brush here and move on to a smaller one. All right, small brush, got some black paint on it. And let's see, I'm going to start with my pumpkin because I can start to pull down these spines or veins. I don't know what they're called. And I can go over my stem here to darken my stem up a bit. And don't be afraid of outlining that flower in your petals. It can be kind of scary to be messing with black on top of a yellow, but Jack doesn't like putting the black on there. All right, let's. Again, don't be shy with the outlining. Don't be afraid. This is fun. It should be fun, so don't worry if it's not perfect. I kind of like this sketchy, imperfect look here. Kind of, I feel like it comes alive once we outline it. All right, I'm gonna set all my outlines here. And you can kind of look on. I'm gonna mute myself and see if this little man needs a bottle. So I'll be back in a minute or so, but you can focus on, you can focus on the painting and see the outlines that I've done, and I'll be back in a flash. All right. Bottle is currently getting warmed as we speak. I am a first-time mom, and I realized I didn't know that part of being a mom was like you have to be a wizard at like timing. So working on the timing with the feedings and all that stuff. Okay. A wizard of timing I am not, but a wizard of outlining in black I guess I am. So hopefully that outlining is going well for you. I like doing the left side of the pole that the sign is on, the top of the sign, and the left of the sign. That gives it kind of a 3D effect for me. The other little details that we can add, as seen in the original, are some white highlights, so white streaks, okay? And I can kind of do that simultaneously, or I can do that when I start to write my word thankful on the sign there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Oh, Jack. I thought I stuffed that kid full of milk, and I guess not. All right. I'm gonna take my tiny brush here. And let's see, my sign is not quite dry, so I am gonna use my smaller brush And I'm just gonna play with little highlights on my pumpkin. You can put that on the stem. Alrighty. Oh, jackers. Alrighty. I think my sign is not 100% dry, but I think it's tacky enough that I can start my writing. Again, you can do any word you like. I find that writing in cursive is the way to go when we paint. But you can do block letters, whatever you like. I do recommend giving it a go on a piece of paper or whatever you've got nearby, just to make sure that the spacing is planned out well and that we're spelling it correctly. Because again, misspellings are very common when we are painting on a canvas. Watch me make a spelling error, that would be great. So that was maybe not as dry as it should have been, but I can always just go another coat over here. You ever look at a word over and over again and you're convinced that it's not spelled right? I think that's right. Just looks wrong to me. And then my last little detail is a little heart on the sign. I just added a little heart. I couldn't help myself. Oh, wow. We cruised through this one, folks. Is it only 8 o'clock? So to recap that sign, I did put the shadow or the black outline on the top and the left side of the stick. Okay. That black outline I did in of course, my petals, my pumpkin, the stem of the pumpkin, and then I also added some white streaks and highlights in the pumpkin, in addition to the black ones. You can certainly do that in your sunflower if you like. So anytime we're adding highlights in white or even outlines in black, it's really up to you to kind of play with where you want. Like I can even add little things, what is this? Speckles. I can even add little speckles of white in my sunflower if I want. Okay, so just kind of have fun, play around. Let's see, and yes, in case you haven't seen it in the chat, share your photos of your paintings. That's the funnest part of all of this, is that we get to see your paintings. So on Facebook, it's at Penn State Alumni Association, Twitter, Penn State Alums, or Instagram, Penn State Alums as well, with the hashtag, of course, hashtag PSAA Paint Night. And again, if you are joining us late, the recordings will be available on the PSAA website and also their Facebook page, so you can go back to it. Oh my gosh, they look so good. Yes, hold them up. It's my favorite part. I love it when we hold them up. Oh, they look, how fun are these? Oh, they look beautiful. Oh my gosh, stop it, Marianne. Gorgeous. Oh, these are beautiful, you guys. I'm going to keep scrolling here in case I missed you. These are so fun. The best part. Ah, they look great. Oh my gosh. Oh, we are ready for Thanksgiving. I'm not ready for Thanksgiving, but these are so cool. You guys, and it looks gorgeous. These, oof, we got the dream team out tonight painting for Penn State alums. These are beautiful. How about it? And this was like an hour. This was a fast painting, guys. What happened? See, I told you I'm not a wizard with timing. I'm like, oh yeah, this painting will take like 2 hours. I have no, oh, I love the word blessed. Yep. These look great. Just kind of scrolling to see if I miss anyone. Yeah, don't be sad if I didn't call your name out, because I'm sure I'm missing people as they hold them up. But these look gorgeous. As always, you guys bring me so much joy when I see these things. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm sure we'll be back at some point in the future. I think we do these, what, twice a year? I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, thanks again for joining. That video will be available on the website and Facebook. Don't forget to share your picture and add that hashtag. I'm gonna go to my little Jack and make sure he still likes me. So have a great night, everyone. It's great seeing you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are.
Penn State.
Hey,
We are Penn State.
Woohoo.
Woohoo.
Bye-bye.
that was a terrible-
So I did figure out that, but I just have
Thanks,
to figure-
Jackie. Does anyone have any questions before we end the meeting?
Like I added a little bit up here.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
All your brushes are in the